Welcome back to the homestead. Today we're out in the orchard and I'm going to be planting a new variety of apricot, the Montrose apricot, out here where I used to have an apple tree. And I thought this would be a great time to kind of discuss why I do this. So I never really like to put an apple tree in place of an apple tree that's died. Never like to do that with peaches or just really with any variety. I don't like to follow up a planting with one of the same type yet again. And there's a reason for that. And yes, it makes the orchard a little bit more messy. Maybe not all the apples are together, not all the pears are together, but there is a very good reason for that. And that is because I don't want the new one to die for the same reason that the old one died. Because that's the biggest problem, right? Something killed my tree. So if I don't know what that is, especially, I might be reintroducing the same problem to the tree that I'm planting that the old one died from. Especially with fungal diseases, if you deal with a lot of those, or if maybe your crop was just riddled with that, so it was always a nuisance, you had to spray it a lot, you had to deal with a lot of pests, put out a lot of traps, you're going to be putting a new tree susceptible to a lot of the same problems in the same location. So at least you ought to not probably put the same variety in the same place that the old one was. If you're like me and you got enough space, then you really don't want to follow up even with that same type again. So you don't want to replace an apple with an apple, or even an apple with a pear. Your apples and pears especially will deal with a lot of the same pests and diseases, as will your stone fruits like your peaches and nectarines and apricots. Those can all have the same host of diseases and pests and problems. So you really don't want to follow up one with another of the same type, deal with all the spraying as much as you needed to, deal with the same fungus even coming up from the ground where the old one was, especially if you haven't waited very long before you replace the tree. There's just a whole lot of reasons you may not really want to put, especially the same variety, but even the same type of tree where you had one die. So that's why today we're going to be replacing my apple tree with our apricot tree. And hopefully, this being fairly far away from even the nectarines, they're the closest stone fruit, they're probably about 50 feet away. And so even wind blowing in, or different things being dropped to the ground, old rotten fruit, the chances of those infecting this new planting of a tree is a whole lot less than it would be if I planted it right on the site of one that I had die already. So just something to think about as you're planting new trees. And it may not apply to you. You might have a tree that died from negligence. Maybe you were trying to establish it and you didn't give it enough water. Maybe it got attacked by deer or just was unprotected and rabbits got to it. Those may be reasons where you want to plant something again, and that would be perfectly fine. But especially if your tree died and it's really from unknown causes, you might want to consider putting something else there instead of the same tree again. All that being said, we're going to go ahead and put this one in the ground and hopefully see that it takes pretty well. I've got some compost here, I've got some mulch, and hopefully we'll get this in here, get it protected from the chickens who can get a little curious with new little trees. So kind of want to keep them out from it, especially if I put down mulch. They're going to start digging through all of that. And really don't want them to mess this one up. I want it to get really established this year. And I've also had a few rabbits getting into the orchard lately that I need to patch a little bit of the fence up for that. But until then, I really want to keep these little trees that much more protected. Well, hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you want to see what else we're growing and kind of get a little tour of this orchard out here, be sure and check out this video here next. If you just want to see what else we're up to here on the homestead, be sure and check out this video. Thanks for watching.